This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a professional dog trainer who thinks dog training should be fun and the pet industry should be diverse. I will tell you all about her and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, a dog trainer, and behavior consultant. She's an entrepreneur. She owned and operated a dog daycare for 7 years. I bet we could do a whole episode on that and all the things she saw and learned there. She is a road tripper, a foodie, a wine snob, and a tea drinker. She's originally from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Currently lives in Carberry. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Carberry, Manitoba, Canada. She's partner to Sean, dog mom to 2 Rottweilers, Epic and Saga. She's creator of the Rotten Dog blog. She's Ayoka Bubar. Welcome, Ayoka. It's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Isabel.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you here to speak about stuff that's really important to our industry that doesn't get covered enough. But before I go into the nitty gritty, I want to introduce our drinking game today. So everybody participating in our drinking game at home, anytime you hear this word,
The secret word is epic.
make sure you take a drink of whatever you're enjoying. It could be alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever it is, just join the fun. But if you are having an alcoholic beverage, make sure you're over 21 in the US to partake. Never drink and drive, and always drink responsibly. So I have a suspicion that you're going to be training later. So what are you having this afternoon?
I'm having just plain old tap water. Nothing fancy for me.
Well, you know what? I think the dogs are going to appreciate that.
I hope they do.
Nothing worse than a boozy dog trainer giving them mixed messages, right?
Don't always make the best training choices. No, when booze is involved.
No, not at all. Well, I'm not training anybody, especially not dogs today. I'm having a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon because since we are fellow wine snobs, I wanted to bring out the vino. So cheers. Thank you so much for being on the show and being my guest.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, I always start this show with the game, and today is no different. Ayoka is like a big fan of dog sports, and I've not been able to interview anybody about dog sports, specifically like specific dog sports, and I know nothing about dog sports. So if you're game, I would like to play a game called Dog Sports, and it's a quick fire challenge where I'm just going to ask you your opinion on certain things involving dog sports. Are you ready to play?
Sure am.
All right, let's do this. How do dog sports benefit dogs and their handlers?
They help build the bond between dogs and their handlers through training.
Perfect. What is your favorite dog sport?
My favorite dog sport is sheep herding.
Ooh. What dog sport should all dog owners know about and potentially try?
I think all dog owners should know about and try trick dogs.
Ooh, okay. That is not what I was expecting. I like that. I like that a lot. I was thinking maybe you would say nose work or something.
No, tricks. I mean, nose work can be part of tricks, but everybody can teach their dog a trick. Everybody.
That's true. That's true. Especially little kids would get a kick out of that too.
Yeah,
It would be fun to involve the whole family.
Yeah.
All right. Which of your dogs is best at dog sports in general?
Oh, that's a hard one. I would say Epic, but she's had more training than Saga has.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, what is the easiest dog sport for regular dog parents, not trainers, not pros, to get involved with?
The easiest one, I would say sprinter, or what we call in the States FCAT, which is just one, it's like a single dog drag race, start to finish. You can do it as a recall, or they can chase a lure, and you don't need any training to do it. You just have to be able to have someone hold on to your dog and release them, and you catch them at the end.
How cool. I love that. Okay. Which is the most difficult dog sport to get into?
I would say that I've done herding.
Really?
Yes.
I read one of your blogs where you talk about how a lot of these dog sports are mostly represented by certain breeds.
Mm-hmm.
So those breeds are probably naturally just herders, right?
Yep.
And then your dogs are Rottweilers were originally sheep herders, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean,
originally cow herders.
Cow herders. Okay. So are they just as interested as sheepdogs would be?
In a different way, but absolutely just as interested.
How cool. All right, I love that. I love that we're talking about representation in every way. Like, get more dogs into sports regardless of their breed. I love that.
Yep.
All right. What dog sport would you like to see go by the wayside? Are there any that you're just like, oof, I don't like that sport?
You know what? I don't think so. I think all dog sports have their merits. Some of them are more challenging than others, which is good for those of us looking for a big challenge. Some of them are easier to access. Some of us do more than one dog sport. I'm a live and let live with the dog sports kind of person.
I love it. And what is missing in dog sports?
What is missing?
Is there any dog sport you'd like to see added? Is there any kind of
I've never thought about that. I can't think of anything that's missing, but that doesn't mean someone else wouldn't think of something awesome.
All right. Well, now you know to kind of start looking. What else can you add to what's already existing? But I feel like you add so much with your blogs. If you're interested in dog sports, definitely check out the Rotten Dog blog, because I love all the blogs you have on. You have it all like numbered.
Oh, thank you.
Steps to doing different things, to getting involved. I love it so much. And I want to learn about you and your dog training trajectory, because I've been following you for a long time on social media. I know that you ran a doggy daycare for 7 years. So first of all, how did you get into the doggy daycare?
Well, the lady that mentored me in training wanted to open up her own business. She was training out of a building that was closing, and the building itself was going to be torn down and something else put up in its place. So she was losing her building, but she wanted to open up a training business. She'd been doing it part-time, but she wanted to really go as a business. And she and I, because we trained together, talked about, business opportunities, what would work together well as businesses. And we talked about dog daycare and dog training. And dog training and behavior was something that really interested me. So we went in business together. There was no trajectory. There was no, I'm not the kind of person that, grew up with dogs or, has had a dog since before I could crawl. It was just, I was working, quote unquote, for the man. And I decided I wanted to try running my own business. And I did.
So you obviously prefer dog training over doggy daycare.
I do. Dog daycare is a really tough business. I would go back to it if I could. But the way the numbers worked, we couldn't make the money we wanted operating it the way that we wanted to.
Yeah, that is a challenge right there. Those profit margins are so small, for sure. So how about dog sports? What got you into that?
Actually, when I got my very first dog, I had a really good friend that I worked with at the time that was into flyball with her dog. And her enthusiasm and love for dogs and flyball got me interested in dog sports. And flyball was the very first dog sport that I ever did. So that's how I got interested, was through a friend.
Do you think that there's dog sports everywhere? Like, I've never even looked in El Paso, Texas, if there's any kind of dog sport. Is it pretty common, or am I just missing something?
I think so. In the larger communities, like I'm Canadian, so I have no reference for how big El Paso is, but in larger centers, there tends to be, but I think you'll find it in different corners of all over the US and Canada and wherever else your listeners are listening from. You would find it in surprising corners, I think.
That is good news. I need to actually look. I need to take some time and look at that, because I have 11-year-old border collie who is like a puppy.
Oh.
And I know she would love to get into any of that.
Yeah.
So I want to know about your dog training kind of energy and how you manage your one-on-ones. You say that you believe it should be fun. So tell me, how do you interact with your dogs and their handlers?
I believe it should be fun. I believe it should be fun for both dogs and for their handlers, especially when we're talking about dog sports, because dog sports isn't life or death here. We're talking about having, it should be a recreation, something we do that enhances our lives is what I believe about dog sports. So my personal belief is that I don't believe we need to use punishment in order to do dog sports. I don't use it with my own dogs. I don't train using punishment. I use positive reinforcement. And I think that training should be cooperative and that our dogs should be engaged and part of the training and have a say. And, they're their own beings, even though we live with them and manage a lot of their lives. They do have preferences and, I won't say thoughts, but they do have preferences. They do tell us things if we're willing to listen. And I think that sort of encompasses how I think about training in dogs.
I love that so much. I love that you have that philosophy. I share that philosophy. I think it should be collaborative, cooperative, like you said. And I think that it's interesting that you want to apply that to dog sports. Is force commonly used to this day in sports?
I would say in some sports more than others, but you would probably find it in just about every sport to a greater or lesser degree.
So are you talking about like prong choke shock collars or more like correction type things?
You could find something as, I'll say, small as a verbal correction up to using and including prong, choke, electronic collars in dog sports all over. And for me personally, my personal ethics are, this is supposed to be fun for me and for my dog. It's not a life or death situation. We're not talking about my life at stake or my dog's life or anybody else's life at stake. If, as a professional dog trainer, I'm obligated to use Lima. I don't know if you've talked about Lima in your least invasive, minimally aversive techniques, right? So if I was going to use aversive techniques, it would be for the big life or death things. It's not going to be for, I want to go have fun with my dog on a Saturday afternoon and a bunch of other dog owners.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be a positive addition to everybody's life. So it reminds me of like the teenager's mom who's like forcing them to go to swim practice and taking all the fun out of the swim experience and the team experience. You know what I mean? That's what it's giving me. It's giving me like that like helicopter parent, but like these dogs are not going to like, sure, they can win prizes, right? But they're not going to like secure like, a college scholarship at the end of their performance. So
their life is not at stake. It truly is.
It's not. I love that so much. Well, I need to take a break right here, but when we come back, I want to speak a little bit about the lack of diversity in the pet industry. And that's why I invited Ayoka here, because she and I share a lot of the same perspectives. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Pet Life Radio, the #1 pet radio network on the planet, joins forces with iHeartRadio to put the power of your pets in your pocket.
Awesome.
Download the iHeartRadio app and rock Pet Life Radio on your phone, on your tablet, on your Xbox, in your car. Pet talk, pet tunes, and fun pet times. Pet Life Radio and iHeartRadio. Positively Possum.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with Ayoka Bubar, who is a professional dog trainer based out of Canada, who I met online. She didn't know me. I was following her for a long time. And I remember her posting one day about a particular conference. And her question was, how much melanin was at XYZ conference? And I said, interesting question. Good question. A question I don't see that often, because in the pet industry, I have noticed that I am one of the solo Latinas that I've ever met in the pet industry. So I know I'm not the only one feeling that. And I wanted to talk to Ayoka about her experience. But first, Ayoka, if you're game, I want to play a second game with you, and it's called Representation Matters.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I could not find any statistics for pet sitting, which is my former industry. I was a pet sitter professionally for 12 plus years. I could not find any statistics or demographics for dog training. I did, however, find statistics for the veterinary profession in the US. So this game is all about an article that was published by Time Magazine in 2020 about Black, Indigenous, people of color in the veterinary profession in the US. These numbers are disappointing, but are you ready to play a true and false game with me? And so we can all learn together about just how disappointing these numbers are.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts jobs for vets and vet technicians will grow 6% by 2029. Do you think it's true or false?
I say it's false because I think it's going to grow more.
Yes, you're right. You're so smart. 16%. I was like, she's going to get this one. She's informed. All right, next one. Nearly 65% of white households have pets. True or false? And that's in the U.S.
In the U.S., 65% of white households, I would say... Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to say false because I think it's more too.
According to this, I agree that I've heard higher statistics for this, but according to this article, it is accurate. It is 65%. Okay. And this actually surprised me. 61% of Hispanic households have pets. True or false?
I'm going to go with true.
It is true. I actually didn't expect it to be that high, to be honest with you, because in my culture, in many ways, there's still people being like, a dog is an outside dog, like a dog is a working animal, like it's not really like a pet, but it's changing, and obviously the numbers are reflecting that.
And pets aren't just dogs.
Right, exactly. And in the Hispanic culture, cats are not pets. Like, we don't have cats. Like, people are like, no.
No pet cats, no litter box inside.
Correct. It's all about the Hispanic mom not allowing all of these things in the house. Like, I think you'd have to have a very convincing, like, spouse or child to bring anything other than maybe a dog to the backyard. But things are changing. That's the way I was raised. My grandmother, for example, doesn't want anything to do with pets. Like, she's surrounded by animals all the time, every time she visits, and she kind of whatever. My mom likes dogs, loves them, but they have to be a specific kind of small dog, non-shedding, blah, blah. She has her limits. And then there's me, who will take any dog that, like, shows up. Or pet. I've hand-raised kittens, I've rescued hamsters, you name it, I've done it. So it's changing. And I think all generations are getting a little more comfortable. So next one is almost 37% of Black households have pets in the U.S.
Almost 37%? I will say true.
That is true. That is very true. That's the first time I've actually seen that any kind of statistic relating to, race and ethnicity. Okay, so those numbers came from ABMA's research from a study or poll conducted in 2017 or 2018. So I think that what you're seeing is probably higher numbers today, just because it's been a long time. But that was the last time the ABMA actually published any such numbers. So that's also something that they need to get on, because it's been a while, especially after the pandemic. Things changed a lot. The pandemic changed a lot for pet ownership. All right. Of the more than 104,000 veterinarians in the U.S., nearly 90% are white.
I would say true.
That is absolutely true. Less than 2% are Hispanic.
Out of the 90, less than 2%, I would say true.
And almost none are Black.
I would say true. True.
It is absolutely true, according to a 2019 Bureau of Labor Statistics figures. In 2013, I have two more questions for you. This one's one of them. In 2013, the veterinary profession was dubbed the whitest in America by The Atlantic.
Oh my, I'm going to go with true.
It was. Out of 33 professions that they ranked, veterinary medicine was number one. And then finally, one historically Black college has educated more than 70% of the U.S.'s current Black vets. One historically Black college.
I would say true. Have you seen the Facebook meme of the photographs of all their graduates with their pets?
Yes.
Out recently. They're beautiful photos of beautiful people with their pets. Beautiful brown and some white people, but mostly various shades of brown in that class, a graduating class. But there is a post that's been going around that celebrates that.
Yes, and it's funny because funny, like interesting in that the AVMA, when this was published in 2020, didn't have any kind of a committee or part of their organization dedicated to diversity and inclusion. Now they do. So I think tides are turning, but obviously not fast enough, and it's a little too late, right? But now they do have a committee in 2022 dedicated to diversity and inclusion. It took that long.
And there's also a multicultural veterinary medicine organization that operates sort of outside of the AVMA, which is amazing and does some great work.
I actually found it in my research. I did not write the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. These are relatively new, and they are making a lot of waves. And I think individual organizations are also trying. I just applied to the Karen Pryor Academy for their professional course. And they do have a scholarship for Black, Indigenous people of color. So I think it's changing and it's great. But I want to kind of pick your brain so that those who are watching and being like, so there are no Black vets. Like, okay, there are no Hispanic pet sitters. Okay, there are no Black dog trainers. I want you to tell me, like, why do you think it matters that there aren't?
I think that, when we look at our general population, we have Black, we have Latina, we have people of all different backgrounds. And when we don't see them represented in our professions across the board, whether it be car mechanic, whether it be vet, whether it be dog trainer, it means that perhaps our culture of our organizations are missing something, that they're not being welcome and open. And I think welcome and open organizations are the ones that grow and the ones that thrive, because they're listening to their members, they're working for their members. So I think in order to keep up with things in today's world, we need more veterinarians. What was the statistic? 16%?
Yes.
16%. That's a lot if you think about how many veterinarians there are in the US working in all sorts of places, right? Like in Manitoba, where I am, not far from where I am, a lot of the veterinarians are working in the meat industry or in the farm and agriculture industry.
Agriculture.
So, vets are everywhere. It's not just taking your cat to the vet. It's all over the place. And, I think if we're missing those people, we're missing some really important voices that could help shape and improve our organizations.
Absolutely. Why do you want to see more diversity within the dog training, pet care industry in general?
I think people deserve to have trainers that look like them,
Yes.
Someone that understands, like you were talking about, my mom would never allow a pet in the house. So then how do you learn about pets?
Correct.
And pet care, like maybe having a trainer that shares your background helps you understand things a little bit better and helps you incorporate things into your day-to-day life a little bit better. And I think we all work better with people that at least understand us or understand a part of how we live.
Absolutely. I totally agree. How does the representation matter to the dog owners as far as them feeling heard, like seen? When I go to a veterinary office, I never expect to see a Hispanic veterinarian. Like I just don't. And I'm sure most Black people don't expect to walk in to a veterinary clinic and be like, hey,
I would be shocked.
Right? So like, why does that matter? Why as even just like as a personal kind of something to notice? Like, does that matter to you? Does that say, wow, like I'm so proud, I'm happier, I'm more connected? Does that make a difference to you? Or do you not care based on the care that they give you?
I would say I would be absolutely proud. I mean, the care that my animals get is wonderful. And I think it would be wonderful, regardless of what our veterinarian looked like. That's what we would expect. But to have a little bit of diversity, I think would make me feel proud and definitely more comfortable in that situation. Because I do wonder sometimes what assumptions a veterinarian is making about me as a person based on my skin color and how I look.
Yeah, absolutely.
That maybe a person of color might not.
Right. Well, it's funny because the article said the article's fantastic. If you have not read the Time Magazine article from 2020 that is about, I think the title is Black Veterinarians Want More Diversity. It asked the question, why are Black or Hispanic kids not interested in becoming veterinarians? It's because that wasn't maybe an option for them because they've never seen a veterinarian because they didn't grow up with pets, right? But it doesn't mean that they wouldn't be an amazing addition to the industry later in life when they were exposed to other possibilities living on their own. And then it also talks about how maybe waiting until helping, college graduates get into the veterinary industry is too late. Like it's by then they've already maybe chosen other career paths.
Yep.
Not involve veterinary medicine.
Yeah. Well, and I think if we want to think even bigger, if we just think about people of color in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and I always forget what M is, mathematics.
Mathematics.
Veterinary medicine is part of STEM. And we also see a lag in and a lack of diversity in STEM jobs and professions on the whole.
Are you thinking that there's more than can be done at this point? Like, obviously, we've talked about AVMA starting a committee. We've talked about the other organization that's not related to the AVMA. We've talked about Karen Pryor and similar organizations offering scholarships to kind of help people surpass barriers, financial barriers to get into the industry. What else can be done?
I think organizations can be more welcoming. I love that Karen Pryor offers those scholarships. And right now, if you look at the big conferences, they're the only ones offering a scholarship for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. That's really sad, actually. I think our organizations can do better. There are some committees, but I'm a believer that committee work is slow in organizations. My experience with committees is they err on the side of safety. And there's always a concern of acting and behaving appropriately towards people of color. You know, I think there's some fear there as to how to include people of color in things. There's some of these organizations have done some things that are pretty damaging that maybe people of color don't want to be a part of those organizations. Because people in, not necessarily the organization, but people that are part of those organizations and continue to be parts of those organizations have done damaging things.
Right.
So, I wish I had a magic wand.
Right. These problems are not easy to solve,
and they weren't created overnight.
Correct.
But I think we can do better. I think organizations can do better by offering scholarships. Having people of color, when I asked that question about how much melanin people saw at a certain conference, I was just asking a general question.
Right.
And it could be melanin in the participants, because this was an in-person conference. How many people of color were at the conference as participants learning? How many people of color were at the conference delivering content? So organizations can do this in multiple ways, show that we've got people of color in positions where they're teaching and expose the rest of dog trainers to something a little bit different. I think where change needs to happen is all the way up from the individual to the organization. I thought long and hard, like how could I personally change? And I can change by what I do individually. I can change by coming and talking to people like you on podcasts, which I have. And I can change by pushing organizations to do some things. I'm not at the point yet where I want to participate in some of these organizations because I'm not confident that most of them have the best interests of people of color in mind. I feel like maybe some of their movements towards inclusion are performative.
Right. And it's also not your individual responsibility to educate a whole organization.
There's that too. There's lots of places
they should care, right? You are not hired as a consultant. You are a dog trainer who wants representation.
But the way I was raised and the way I think, if there's going to be a problem, then I need to be part of the solution.
I love that. I saw that you were talking on your blog about, there was a discussion that came up about race or diversity or inclusion, or I can't remember the word you used. And somehow I was a part of it. And then you were like, ... Is anybody surprised? And I think it's great that you're willing to have the hard conversations. I just hate to see, the solitary person carrying all that weight.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how can we help each other? How can participants in the industry that care, that want to see more diversity inclusion, how can these individuals make a difference?
I think by asking the awkward questions when they are on their committees. How many people of color are going to be involved? Have we thought about including people with diverse backgrounds? And diverse doesn't always mean, when we think people of color, that's visually diverse, in a way.
Right.
Diversity can include a lot of different kinds of people.
Of course.
So I think we need to be asking the questions about how we're being inclusive in everything that we do, not having a committee, but bringing diversity into all aspects of an organization. And committees are great. Like I said, they can get some certain things done. They show a desire to make changes, but they don't always, in my experience, arrive at making changes very quickly.
Right. Yeah. There's too much bureaucracy. It is what it is. Yeah. That's just how they work.
Organizations are made up of members. I
Yes.
pay to be a member of I'm a certified professional dog trainer through the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. So I'm a member. I pay $300 plus Canadian every 3 years to continue my membership. And when they have sent out things asking different questions about race and inclusivity, I've participated in that. How it is being used, I have no idea because I haven't seen any results of that to date. Would I be on a committee within the organization? I'm not there yet. That's a time commitment. It's always, we want your time, we want your time, we want your time. Right. And when you're an entrepreneur, your time is limited.
Of course.
And I work really hard at keeping a work-life balance.
Yes.
So I think asking the hard questions is how anybody can ask those questions.
Yeah.
And they're hard questions. And it doesn't mean you have to have the answer in order to ask that question. But I think we need to start asking those questions. I would say 2 years ago when the Black Lives Matter movement was really active, that a lot of organizations were asking themselves these questions, but I feel like now it's on the back burner. There's nothing has moved forward. Like I said, Karen Pryor, I've seen make some public changes to but if you look at their faculty, they're still pretty white. Still pretty white when you look at their faculty. So, are they making changes? Absolutely. Are they where they should be? Not yet.
Nobody is.
And
so we need to hold these organizations accountable a little bit too, ask the questions, so. They give us answers, they kind of placate us a little bit, and then we need to follow up, and then we need to hold them accountable. And it is something that takes time, but I mean, what are the benefits? What are the benefits? To me, the benefit is different perspectives, different experiences, all learning from each other makes us better as individuals, and therefore impacts the way that we deal with our clients and interact with the clients that we work with. It just makes us better people. So what is your goal with inclusion and seeing more Black people of color?
I would agree with everything that you just said, that more inclusion means more ideas. More ideas means, that those really good ideas get disseminated, and that the profession on the whole, we're an unregulated profession in dog training.
Yes.
And there's been the drumbeats of, our profession is going to be regulated eventually down the road. And I think once we get into regulation, that a lot of the thoughts about people of color and all of that are going to kind of disappear, because that'll be the big thing in the industry to sort of that the industry has to tackle. I would like to see diversity tackled before regulation, but we may not have a choice in that.
Wow.
But I think that, dissemination of ideas and brainstorming and working together, because the other thing is, we're talking about ideas, we're talking about being better, which means better outcomes for our clients, which are dogs and their owners. Right?
Exactly.
And we want dogs and their owners to be living and coexisting peacefully together. I'm more active in training dog sports, so I want dogs and their owners to be having fun in dog sports, because I think that enhances human life, to have fun with their dogs.
Absolutely. And I think in many ways too, this 37% of Black households have pets, with all the benefits of having pets, the benefits being active, stress relief that they offer. I think everybody should have access. And if they see more representation, their veterinarians are Black, their pet sitters Black, their dog trainers Black, it just makes it feel like they're not out of place. Like they're not the random person in the neighborhood who decided to get a dog. And I just feel like Latinos too, I see here in El Paso, everybody has Chihuahuas, and we have a lot of dogs here, and we have a lot of Latinos here. And it's because of the area being very Chihuahua friendly. Our baseball team is Chihuahuas. And you see just how much fulfillment, especially the elderly, get from adding these animals to their homes, that companionship. And I hate to see that only 37% of Black households are enjoying those benefits of companionship and sharing their lives with pets. So I want everybody to know everything about you. Tell us how my audience can learn more about you, follow you, and support you and all that you're doing.
The two best ways to learn about me are on my website, which is ayokabubar.com. Real simple. AYOKABUBAR.com. I'm on Facebook as Ayoka Bubar CPDTKA. But if you do on Facebook, if you hit the @ symbol and AYOKA.BUBAR, I'll come up for you there. And then on Instagram, I am the OG Rotten Dog. So THEOG ROTTENDOG.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I want to propose a toast to you for the passion that you bring to the industry, both for pets, for diversity, for human interaction, for just being a good person. Thank you so much for what you do. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining me. And I want to propose a toast to my executive producer, Mark Winter, for letting me have these awesome guests and talking about all these important things, sometimes fun, sometimes serious, always with a glass of wine in my hand. So cheers to you, Mark, and cheers to our audience for joining us for these awesome discussions. Here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers.
To learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get my videos whenever I upload. And if you're listening to this on Pet Life Radio or podcasting platform, please be sure to review the podcast, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and so you can get all the notifications when I drop a new episode with awesome people from the pet industry. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.